What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining me, everybody. We've got some severe weather as a threat today for areas like this, Lexington, right through Charleston, and then all the way through D.C. Actually, just got an upgrade on this as well. We knew the sunshine was heating things up out there in West Virginia into northern sections of Virginia, right around the mountains. You're talking about Stanton, that area right there. There is a severe weather threat, and it looks like that's been ramped up from a 2 out of 5 to a 3 out of 5. So this is brand new for you right now. This is what we're anticipating over the next few hours, and this is going to be because the wind is going to pick up as all these storms begin to converge and combine and then blow themselves out. We're talking about those little bow echoes that we're going to start finding. That'll be late this afternoon through the early evening hours. Some of these winds could approach 75 miles per hour with their gusts. So this is what we're calling for right here with severe weather threat. Again, now it's a 3 out of 5 instead of a 2 out of 5. Never a good thing when you see something ramped up like this, but it's something to be expected because we've got a lot of sunshine ahead of this front of boundary. It's going to be sparking it all off. Now, here's where it goes. We've got this cold front that's going to be the nexus of the severe weather later this afternoon. A warm front has already passed through. So we've got the winds that are out of the southwest pumping up the heat, pumping up the humidity also. Now, we've got dew points that are being in the mid-50s to about 60 degrees, daytime highs, temperatures in the low 70s, and you can see what we're watching. That area of low pressure with that cold air wrapping in behind it, that is actually rain turning over to snow for North Dakota, into Minnesota, and stretching back eventually into the UP and Michigan. But it's all this warm air out ahead of this cold front that's going to be firing things up later today. So here is that visible satellite imagery, and we're going to zoom into the area that actually just got that upgrade to a 3 out of 5, and it's right here in West Virginia into northern Virginia across the mountains especially. Notice what's going on here. Plenty of sunshine breaking out. You can see these waves right there. Those are actually, looks like gravity waves that are ahead of this thing. So we've got that with the mountains and the winds hit it and it does one of these and it turns into clouds. Those are gravity waves right there. Pretty cool. You can see it on the visible satellite imagery. But what you also see is plenty of sunshine right there cooking up the ground. So that is going to make things even more unstable for later this afternoon. And you can see the water vapor imagery right here where I have it posted. Here's our energy. That is our X. That is our vorticity maximum. It's our upper level low. Here is the energy rotating around the base of that trough. And that's all going to zip into the Ohio Valley here shortly, ultimately into West Virginia. So we've got the components in play right now. Warm front lifts up, cold front behind it. Look at the red shaded area. That's where the chance for severe weather. Upstairs, talking about the jet stream aloft, we do have some venting that's going to be going on with these thunderstorms once they start to develop. And that includes the northern branch of the jet stream and the southern branch. So you've got that severe weather threat. And now it's bullseyed right there between Charleston and Stanton, Virginia, and just outside of Washington, D.C. So we've got these areas of concern that are getting a little bit worse. So that's what we're going for, that warm sector right here. The occluded front's up there around the Ohio area. That's going to keep things a little more stable for you. But later on today, look at the winds. A lot of wind, vertically stacked, too. So we've got speed shear going on, and that's going to be the reason why we've got the severe thunderstorms as a possibility. There will be big wind makers if we can tap into that and bring that momentum down into the ground. What about the timing on this? Here's the way it goes. Cold front advances right through Cincinnati. I think the initiation of the thunderstorms themselves should be about 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the afternoon Eastern time, and then really begin to build and blossom by about 5 o'clock this afternoon. So this is 5 o'clock. You can see right there, that is the lower half of Ohio in areas by Kentucky into West Virginia. Then by later on in the evening, you're talking about 10 p.m. or so, they've already raced right through Charleston. But now they're edging into areas by the I-95 corridor. So those would be wind makers for you around D.C., up through Harrisburg and Lancaster, York County, Pennsylvania, and then ultimately get into areas like Allentown before it finally washes out later on over New York by tomorrow morning. And then we'll reload it and we'll get some more thunderstorms developing tomorrow afternoon, but it won't be as organized and it won't be as severe. But we've got the cold air aloft, warm air down at the bottom. We'll get maybe some small hail makers out there for tomorrow afternoon for everybody from New England all the way down to the Appalachians. So we're watching that. Tornado threat, it's out there also. You can see what we're calling for. It's a 2 out of 5 on the scale right here, but that includes Charleston. Damaging wind threat has been ramped up. That's why we have that new 3 out of 5 on the scale. And I'll time it out for you for West Virginia. I think it's game time for you fully by about 7 o'clock this evening. That's when I pause it right here. And notice the thunderstorm. It's kind of broken up just a bit. These could be some supercells right here, but also notice some of these are combining, and that's where you start seeing the bow echoes that are going to be forming right around here. So those could be the winds that go up to about 65 to 75 miles per hour. So that's going to be a huge concern. Obviously, now we've got leaves on the trees. They act like catcher's mitts that bring down some of these tree limbs. Power outages will be a concern if we do get those 60 to 75 mile per hour winds. But then everything zips on out of there, and we might see a little training going on as well, meaning thunderstorms going over the same spots for a longer period of time. that means we could get some flash flooding going on also, especially around the urban areas, talking about the paved spots like Charleston, those areas right there in West Virginia. So that is going to be the main concern. So right here is what it looks like right now with the wind, and you can see the darker shade of blue as I zip it on in here. And these are going to be the winds that are about 60 to 75 miles per hour. You can see exactly where we are. If you live anywhere around Stanton into Charleston, maybe getting into Washington, D.C. for the overnight hours, that's where the strongest wind field is going to be located. When it taps into it, it brings it right down to the surface. That's what we're going for here. Hail makers, also a possibility. Not huge. We're going about 1 to 2 inch size hail. We're not talking about baseball size at this point, but we are looking about 1 to 2 inch would be anywhere between golf ball and like egg size, that kind of thing. So still enough to do some shingle damage, no question about it. And those are some pretty big cities too. That is Lexington down through London, Kentucky, but then picking up right around Beckley, Roanoke, Stanton, Richmond, through Morgantown, and into areas right by the lower part of the Ohio Valley. So Cincinnati, you're kind of on the outskirts. Columbus, too. I think most of the storms at this point will be just shy of Cincinnati into Cleveland also. Looks like you're going to skip out on the worst part of it, but, man, you live in West Virginia, head on a swivel, especially for the afternoon commute between 5 and 7 o'clock later on this evening. So that's what we're watching for this part. Got more storms developing for later on this week. Severe weather threat's not over once this thing moves by. We've got another shot of storms developing for millions of people to round out the work. We're talking